We're on the panel in which we've installed Skraffino. We just made some very basic saw cuts, and now we're going to show you a fairly quick and easy way of creating graphics to help take your floors over the top. This is a Flatoo stencil, and basically there's two pieces to the stencil, you can see. And what we're doing is we've determined where we want the design on the floor. So we've taken a 4-inch angle grinder and we've saw cut a circle. And then as soon as we get this stuck down, we're going to mask out here, because what we're going to do is we're going to then use a product that's called Tech Gel, and this particular product is in fact for flatooing. Now the logic is this: if you remember in the earlier portion of the Skraffino video, we applied patina etch acid stain. We've cleaned it and neutralized it, and now our goal is to use this flatooing gel and etch the stain that we already put on back off. So we're taking the color back off. Couple quick pointers when doing stencils. So this is a very small stencil. There's only two pieces to it. Sometimes you might have to do a stencil that's 10 foot by 10 foot. And if that is the case, what you have to do is a technique called tiling, meaning there's not a machine that cuts one gigantic stencil. So you have to have a series, maybe of 10 pieces of a stencil, and you tape it together exactly like we did here. So with that in mind, so we've tiled these two together, and now we're going to kind of align it where we want it. Okay, so this is the center line right here, so we want to point there. And Leanne's on that side. How are you lined up over there? Pretty good? Okay, so now what we're going to do is she's going to hold that in place, basically, and then we're going to remove this first one. Take the tape off of that. And then what we're going to do is remove this and put a piece of tape all the way across here. Because this is rounded, you've got to do it this way, so we're going to put a piece of tape. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. If it's a square or a rectangular stencil, it's real easy to put a piece of tape here, and that becomes your hinge. But because this is rounded, it's difficult. So we're going to put one right in the middle, all the way across. Yep. That's good. Right there. And now what we're going to do is just remove half of this. And once we get it down, Leanne is going to then cut it so we don't lose our registration. I'm going to peel that there. So while she's doing that, I'm going to burnish this down a little bit. There we go. Now look, I'm scanning all the way across here. We don't want to lose, like right there, we don't want to lose the graphic. Okay, so now what Leanne's going to do is cut the backing paper back off. Go ahead and we'll cut that right there. And now we're going to stick this Flatoo right down to the surface. Burnish it in. We can remove this side now. Now look, I'm going to come through here and burnish this. So in essence, what I'm trying to do is push the graphic onto the other side of the backing paper so it removes just a little bit easier. We're going to make sure that this is in fact stuck down, which it feels good. Now we're going to flip it this way, and Leanne's going to go ahead and remove this. Oh. There we go. Notice how she's pushing down. That's real important. You don't want to pull it up because it'll lift the graphic up. So you can see I'm holding the paper. I don't want to put my finger right on the actual stencil. You'll lose some of the adhesive qualities. Perfect. Now we're going to come through here She's going to follow me and keep a nice radius like that. And we're just going to let it follow its natural contour. Okay, now we're going to burnish it in. Now, this manufacturer says right here, 1/4 inch overlap. So she's allowed for overlapping this stencil. And the reason for that is, if we just pieced them together, side by side, like a butt joint right there, the gelled acid would go through that seam. So she's allowed for the 1/4 inch overlap so we don't have that problem. All right, let's remove this paper. So now you can see the graphic is nicely stuck to the concrete. We've previously cleaned and neutralized this, and it has to be nice and dry in order for this stencil to adhere. If for whatever reason it's not sticking, perhaps it's cool, it's not a bad idea to take a heat gun, preheat the area first, and then actually hold the stencil up like this and just heat it up. And what you're trying to do is just heat the adhesive on the back of the stencil to allow it to stick. Okay. Now it's time for our 1/4 inch overlap, and basically we're going to come in until we get it exactly where we want it, lined up. Looks good there. You right where you want it? Now she's going to do the same thing. Actually, let's burnish this one first a little bit. Okay. All right. Now it's time to hinge it back. Again, the only reason we're doing it this way, where we're hinging it back, is because this is a circle. It's very simple if it's a square or rectangle, because like I said, just to recap, you can put a piece of tape there, hinge the whole thing over, peel the backing off, and it's very simple to stick back. We wouldn't have to tape it in the middle like this and then do it like we're doing on the circle. The only reason that we're doing it is because it's a circle. Let you Okay, we got a nice piece there that we can just cut right here. All right. Remove this tape. For the purpose of this video, we're going to simply show you two techniques that work really nice. We mentioned that here we're going to use the gelled acid. Over here, we're just going to take solvent-based dye, and we're just going to airbrush dye through this to show you just a couple of different techniques. All right. And of course, we're right out over the top of this, but I'm looking at our alignments, and our alignments are absolutely perfect. It's exactly where we need it to be. And you can see where it says 1/4 inch overlap. In the event that you got out of alignment for whatever reason, which we didn't do here, but if you did get out of alignment, occasionally you may have to just take an X-Acto blade and trim, or actually add a piece and then trim it back off. But we're looking really good right here. So you can focus in right here in the middle. This darker section, the darker section of blue right there, is where the manufacturer has allowed for the 1/4 inch overlap. Again, I'm not pulling up. Now it's a great idea to go back and check all of your components here. Make sure everything is stuck down where you want it to be. And from here now what we're going to do is we're going to mask off this outer area right here. So there's a couple ways that you can do this. You could actually just cover this whole section, cut it with scissors. Then you can simply take your razor blade down into the saw cut. And literally that quick, we've just masked off our circle, because we don't want any of the gel to get out here. So now all we're going to do is put some tape right over this, and we'll get back to you in just a minute after we've taped right over the top right here, splitting that seam. Now we won't have any of the gel get over onto our joining area. So we're going to just keep busy here, masking the outer perimeter, and we'll get back to you in a minute.